I recently saw a debate between Jewish women and Christian women, and another debate between a Muslim man and a Christian man. And I noticed the Jewish women and Muslim man said the same thing when it came to Jesus' divinity. Jesus never said he was God, but that's not really true. Jesus may not have used that exact modern sentence, but he absolutely made claims his audience understood as divine. For example, in Gospel of John 8:58, Jesus says, "Before Abraham was, I am." That phrase echoes God's name in Book of Exodus 3:14, "I am who I am." And the crowd immediately tried to stone him for blasphemy. Then in Gospel of John 10:30, Jesus says, "I and the Father are one." And the people literally respond, "You, being a man, make yourself God." John 10:33. The Muslim responded by saying he doesn't trust the Bible because it has contradictions, but then uses verses in the Bible to show he isn't divine. Very hypocritical, but let me talk about a few. Matthew 4:10. "Away from me, Satan. Worship the Lord you God and serve him only." This specifically is Jesus rejecting Satan in his human nature as the Messiah where humanity failed. He quotes Deuteronomy 6:13, commands believers to fear the Lord, serve him alone, and make oaths only in his name. The Muslim also used John 14:28, "The Father is greater than I." What he doesn't understand is the Son humbled himself and came to us in the flesh. This means nature is not the same as position. Philippians 2:6-8 says, "He existed in the form of God, yet he emptied himself, took the form of a servant, became obedient unto death." So in his earthly mission, the Father was greater in status, authority, and heavenly position, not greater in divine nature. For example, a king who disguises himself as a servant is still a king by nature, even while functioning in a lower role. Moving on to the Jewish woman, the next claim she gives is as Christians we are forcing Jesus to fit into prophecies. She quotes Numbers 23, "God is not a man that he should lie, not a human being that he should change his mind." She also quotes 1 Samuel 15:29, "And also the glory of Israel will not lie or have regret, for he is not a man that he should have regret." What she fails to see is that these verses are referring to his character. He can't be corrupted. He can't sin. He can't lie. He keeps his promise. Not that he can't become human. He never says he can't. Also, according to the Old Testament, or Torah as she preferred, God shows himself in human form a few times. For example, Genesis 18. The text describes the Lord appearing to Abraham, speaking with him, and even eating with him. Genesis 32:20. Jacob says, "I've seen God face to face." In fact, the angel of the Lord is believed to be pre-incarnate Jesus Christ, as this figure speaks and acts as God himself. Now to her original statement of Christians forcing Jesus into the prophecies. Let's just look at 8 prophecies that we know was fulfilled. 1. Born in Bethlehem. 2. Gambling for his clothing. 3. Entry into Jerusalem on a donkey. 4. Betrayed by a friend. 5. Sold for 30 pieces of silver. 6. Manner of death. Pierced. 7. Silence before accusers. 8. Execution with thieves. According to Peter Stoner, someone fulfilling just 8 Old Testament prophecies, 1 in 100 quadrillion, or 1 in 10 to the 17th power. To think about this, you would cover the whole state of Texas 2 feet deep with silver dollars. You mark one, and it's the same as a blindfolded person finding the marked silver dollar on the first try. Thinking of these odds is incredible, but what scholars believe the number of prophecies fulfilled is between 300 to 400 depending on how it's measured. Think about that for a moment. I gave you 8 that are not disputed, and scholars say hundreds. You said Christians are trying to force Jesus into the prophecies, but it feels more like you're trying to ignore the overwhelming evidence that Jesus is not only in the Torah, but also divine.